Thank you. Ms. Fern, are there any announcements?
Yes.
Oh, you got them tonight, Taylor.
Great. Welcome back to school. Parents, students, and teachers were all excited to kick off the first day of the 2017-2018 school year today. Check the Springford Facebook page for hundreds of back-to-school pictures.
Are you happy to be back?
Yeah, actually, I feel good being a senior. I just feel superior.
Nice. Well, welcome back for your first day. All right, moving along. Public to be heard on agenda items.
Hi, I'm Kathy Drennan. I just had a question. I wondered if the board can just tell me about it. On item F under finance, there's the Delaware Valley Consortium on Excellence and Equity that we pay a large membership fee, and I just wanted to know what benefits we receive from that.
All right, that particular consortium is really provided for, it provides training for our staff and our administration on issues of diversity and how to teach students of diverse backgrounds. And we've been a member of that for approximately 5 years.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, moving along to board reports. Colleen, Community Relations.
Can I hold that till next week? We did focus on the
Next month.
website
Next month.
next month.
Next month.
Okay, thanks. Actually, I do have a few notes I could add, but formally next month. But just to say, we did discuss the naming of the television studio, and we will be able to share additional information, including a date, once details are confirmed with the family. And then, as I said, we focused a lot of the time on the website and the feedback we've received so far.
Thank you. Ed, Western Center.
I just want to mention that I am also a senior, but I'm not feeling quite superior as she is. The Joint Operating Committee of the Western Montgomery Career and Technology Center met on August the 7th. The Administrative Director, Chris Moritzen, made his report. First item was that the summer camp was a great success. It's a 2-week camp. They had 155 students participating, which is 15 students above last year's enrollment. The enrollment for this present semester for the regular classes is 586 students compared to last year's 572 students. 223 of these students are special ed students, by the way. The board voted tenure for Mr. Moritzen, and that was the end of a very short meeting.
You want to go to the PSBA now?
Yes. There's one item that the PSBA reported on, which is somewhat controversial, but I'd like to mention it. It has to do with class starting times. Pediatricians say that teens should sleep in, quote unquote. The American Academy of Pediatrics just issued a new policy statement recommending that middle and high schools start classes no earlier than 8:30 a.m. because adolescents have unique sleep rhythms that make it harder for them to go to sleep and wake up earlier than other people, and that sleep deprivation can affect academic achievement as well as cause other problems. The new policy statement called School Start Times for Adolescents and published in the September issue of the Journal of Pediatrics says that teens have sleep-wake cycles that can be 2 hours later than everybody else, and that starting school too early is a key factor to chronic sleep deprivation among adolescents. Sleep researchers have said for years that most teens can't easily fall asleep until 11 p.m. Experts say, and their brains stay in sleep mode until at least 8 a.m. The National Sleep Foundation says that teens need about 9.25 hours of sleep each night to function at their best. At the spring meeting of the National School Board Association, Ariana Huffington from Huffington Post presented some excerpts from her book called The Sleep Revolution, where she said that sleep deprivation affects behavior development in younger children as well. It's not obvious when young children are sleep deprived. When adults don't get enough sleep, they feel and look tired. But for kids, They are sleep deprived. The opposite is true. Sleep deprivation can actually make them hyperactive and can lead to a diagnosis of ADHD. I coincidentally had lunch with 3 psychologists today who have experience in dealing with students, and there was unequivocal support for the idea of a later start time, and I think we should at least think about that possibility. That's the end of my report.
I don't think a later start time is going to happen anytime soon, but I don't disagree with you. I'd like to know what kid goes to bed by 11 who's in high school, because I'd like to find that one. But if that scenario was true, Dr. Gooden, how much would it affect what we do? I mean, I know that's a huge issue. It's a national issue, not a Springport issue.
You're talking about busing. We run 3 tiers in our busing. You've got that issue you'd have to deal with. Either we're going to double our size of busing to make our elementary and our secondary kids arrive at a later time, or you're going to have the elementary kids getting on the bus earlier. So either way, there is a significant impact on your busing. You also have an impact on your extracurriculars, after-school extracurriculars. So those are a couple of your major impacts, I would say, right off top. Probably the busing, the transportation, and the extracurriculars. Just right off the top of my head, that's going to be your major impacts.
But there is a movement throughout the country in U.S. high schools to make this change, and it will eventually come about.
I agree, it will eventually come about, because I can remember, and I just said to Kelly while you were giving your report, that even 2 years ago when I was at the national conference, there was a discussion about the same topic. And it is not just a select school district that can make that decision. There's really got to be buy-in from all the districts that are affected, because it's a huge change that will, have to be made in order for it to happen. But I do see that this would be the direction that it would go.
I'm not convinced that starting later would get more sleep, because I think kids would have a tendency to stay up later to compensate for it. So I think they just need a matter of discipline, because some point in your life you have to learn when to get to bed and when to get up. I just think it's a cop-out and taking away the responsibility of the parents and the students to go to bed at a reasonable time.
Well, we could debate this till we fall asleep, but thanks, Tom. All right, but until 11, yeah. Most of us will be asleep by then. All right, we're going to move on. I won't be. Yeah, I'm here all week. Thanks, Tom. There was no legislative committee report. Tom, MCIU.
I wasn't at the meeting this month. I was out of town. And other than normal business, nothing really occurred.
Mr. Pettit, the report, I guess, will be on tonight's agenda.
No report.
Dr. Gooden.
Thank you, Ms. Cerisi. Today was our first day back to school. I had very few reported problems that made it up to my office from the principals. But I do want to highlight some of the facility projects that occurred this summer, just real quick. We did put a new fire alarm system in our high school. We did replace the carpeting in our Upper Providence Elementary, our 9th grade main office area. We are in the process of replacing our parking lot lights with LED lighting. That's going on currently. Over at Spring City, we replaced the windows over there. McNally Stadium we replaced the turf on the field. The playground mulch has been refurbished or replaced throughout the district. We replaced some sidewalks over at Limerick Elementary. Our staff moved 78 teachers internally and externally, so that we had a number of teachers move in classrooms. Our crews also cleaned 11 buildings, which includes 726 classrooms. They moved approximately 18,900 student desks. Total square footage of summer cleaning is 1,496,415 square feet got cleaned this summer. So that's a huge project. We also cleaned 18 gyms, starting at the rafters and working down to the wood floors, and there were some refinishing of gym floors this summer. So our facilities crews are to be congratulated for the work they did this summer and were able to get accomplished. They are still finishing up some areas, but for the most part, our summer projects are done. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald?
Two things to bring up tonight. First, which came over the wire on Friday, there was a decision in the Eastern District of Pennsylvania involving the Boyertown Area School District as relates to transgender accommodations issues. It was a 142-page preliminary injunction decision by the court denying plaintiffs' motion to enjoin or stop Boyertown's practice of accommodating students who are transitioning. And the decision, which came out again on Friday, was a rebuke of plaintiff's position and upheld the practice of the Boyertown Area School District. It's unclear whether plaintiffs will continue to pursue the case. However, at this point, the practice of Boyertown remains quote unquote constitutional. It's noteworthy because it's local and it's in the Eastern District. The second issue is actually one for tonight on tonight's agenda. There is a new action item which was not on the agenda last week, and it's an action item to approve a new collective bargaining agreement with the teachers, which would be effective beginning with this school year. So it's under new personnel. It would be for a 4-year contract that would begin this year.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the minutes. We have a motion from A to D.
So moved.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Personnel, we're going to take A to I. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Personnel J, this is the teachers' agreement with the teachers. Questions or comments?
I think one of the items that we're missing with the agreement this evening is that we have done a disservice to the community. I'm in complete support of the initiative, and I'm complete support of the teachers and their involvement in the collective bargaining. The only issue that we have is that we neglected to continually inform the community as far as where we're at, what's going on, what the overall impacts are going to be with this approval of this agreement this evening, the possible future tax implications that we may incur in the next 4 years. We also need to understand that in the first year of the contract, what possible impacts that may have as far as what's been budgeted and not budgeted, as well as we made promises, or some of us stood up in front of the community and said that taxes weren't going to increase as we expand the high school. And I think because the lack of information that we've provided over the last few months, is one would be led to believe that if there is any type of tax change moving forward, it's going to be coupled with both the expansion of the high school as well as the agreement that we're looking at this evening. I really feel that we missed a target on informing the community. It's the community's right to know what we're agreeing to. It makes up 2/3 of our budget. Last week, we spent almost 10 minutes talking about $1,000 and sending Ed Dresser to Hershey, but we have not talked one moment about the $60+ million that's going to be on an annual basis that's involved in the budget related to professional compensation, including benefits. I didn't realize that there was going to be a push to move forward with this this evening. I wasn't at the exec session last week, but the downside is that we've provided no information. There's no presentation prepared, and again, we're agreeing to a contract, and the community has no information whatsoever.
Mr. Fink, Can you give us an update of all the particulars of the contract? I also want to say that it was under advisement from our solicitor who was negotiating the contract, what and how should be said, so we took the advice of our solicitor. But to Mr. DeBello's point, we need to give the agreement what it looks like before we vote on it so the public's aware of it.
Certainly, Mr. Cerisi. The contract that we're looking at approving tonight is a 4-year contract. The average overall increase per year over those 4 years is approximately 4%, inclusive of healthcare, employer share taxes, retirement. Included in the plan are some changes to the healthcare, which will be phasing out one of the more expensive plans at the end of this calendar year. Additionally, we'll be phasing out the second most expensive plan at the term of the contract. Leaving the last plan, which is still a very good plan, but one of the lesser expensive plans. To answer some of the questions or points that Mr. DeBello brought up, which are very valid, the model that we're looking at and the forecasting model that we did build does address a number of those issues, and we have this contract that we're talking about now falls right in line with the projections that we've put forth in our 5-year forecast. And additionally, over the life of the contract, the average or the employee portion of the budget still falls right in line with historical trend of about 68% of the overall budget as it has in the past and as we have had projected into the future.
Thank you.
And with your model, what does proposed tax increases potentially look at as a starting point?
Well,
Because I'm bringing it up because I chair finance, and, you know, we will be talking about this and figuring out how we can minimize the direct impact to the community as much as possible.
Well, as you know, there's a lot of moving parts that go into putting a budget together, and singling out one piece as to how that's going to impact taxes is difficult to do. We don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know. We know that revenue's been growing at a decent pace in the district, so that'll, of course, ebb off a lot of the costs of the contract. But as I said, too, based on our forecasting plan, this contract falls right in line with where we thought it would. Additionally, you also mentioned the impact that it might have on this year's budget, and the way we budgeted, Mr. DeBello, as you know, we saw the need that the contract would be coming due, and we made some assumptions that, and we were right on with the assumptions that we made, so there will be no impact to the budget this year.
In your forecast, what's the proposed tax increases that we're looking at?
Within the current model that we're looking at about hang on one second, because I always have those numbers handy. We're looking at a less than 3% in the coming year and 2.4 and 2.73. That's what my model's suggesting right now, but as I said, those numbers are not in stone. Those are our starting point. Now, the state has projected the indexes to be approximately 3% for this coming year and 3.3% for the years following.
Any other questions?
Do you foresee a great increase in our revenue from taxes because of the new developments in the area?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons why taxes are going in the way they're going with industry, and certainly development is part of it. Over the past trends have been that our base has been growing by around 4% or so a year. So that's, again, right in line with what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, call the vote. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. I want to thank the negotiating team from the board and from the Teachers Association for working through the summer, working over the last, I guess, almost 9 months or more, both from the table and then from the association. And from a board perspective, we look forward to moving forward in the next 4 years and continuing down the path that we have been on, which are for the purpose of every one of our students And like I've said for the last 12 years, seeing that Springford becomes the #1 district in the state. So we've got 8 spots to beat to get to #1 within the next 4 years. So the challenge tonight is to say, by the time the contract comes up at 4 years, I won't be sitting here, but Springford needs to be #1. So thank you all for your hard work. Moving on. Finance, A to H.
Second.
Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Property, A to D. Questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Program and curriculum, I think we only have A. Questions, comments? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Conferences and workshops, we have A to I.
Moved.
Is there a second? Second. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye. Other business, A to D. Any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Informational item, we had last week, the home and school at Spring City. And then board comment. Any board comments?
I just would like to say, I would just like to say that I'm going to join Ed out of the conference in Hershey. I can go on the 18th, so I'm going to go for the one day. I'm already committed on the 19th, but I will attend on the 18th. And I hope that we'll both be able to really hit a number of different seminars that are offered and bring back that information to share with everyone.
Do we know the status of the mold, the problem in Oaks? Is that being resolved?
Dr. Gooden?
Yes, we just got the test back. We're going to run the air scrubbers in there for another evening, and we'll run a test tomorrow. And if all goes well, we should be back in play on Wednesday.
Anyone else? Public to be heard? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor? Aye. Meeting adjourned.